1400 years ago, in the heart of the Arabian desert, in a small city surrounded by mountains and endless sand, a movement began that would change the course of human history forever. This is the story of Makkah, a city of trade, idols, and tribal rivalries, and how, against all odds, Islam was born here, in one of the most hostile environments imaginable. Before the birth of Islam, Arabia was a land of tribes. There was no central government, no king ruling the peninsula. Instead, hundreds of tribes controlled different regions, bound by loyalty to their lineage and clan. Honor, bravery, and revenge defined the culture. If a member of one tribe was killed, the other tribe sought blood in return, often leading to endless cycles of violence. Makkah, however, was different. Nestled in a valley with no rivers or fertile lands, its strength came not from farming but from trade. Caravans passed through the city, carrying spices, silks, and goods between Yemen, Syria, and beyond. At the heart of Makkah stood the Kaaba, a sacred sanctuary believed to have been built by the prophet Ibrahim and his son Ismail. But by this time, it was surrounded by over 360 idols. Pilgrims from across Arabia came to worship their gods, making Makkah a spiritual and commercial hub. Yet, amid this wealth and activity, there was deep injustice. The rich merchants grew wealthier, while the poor, orphans, and slaves were often neglected, mistreated, and left without rights. In the year 570 CE, in this very city, a child was born into the respected Quraysh tribe. His name was Muhammad ibn Abdullah. His father had died before his birth, and his mother Amina passed away when he was only 6. Orphaned at such a young age, Muhammad was cared for first by his grandfather Abdul Muttalib, and later by his uncle Abu Talib. From his youth, Muhammad earned a reputation for honesty, trustworthiness, and kindness. He worked as a shepherd, and later as a merchant, where his truthfulness earned him the title Al-Amin, the trustworthy. At the age of 25, he married Khadijah, a wealthy merchant widow, who recognized his noble character. Together, they built a family and shared a life of mutual respect and love. Although Makkah was a city of idols, Muhammad was never comfortable with idol worship. He would retreat to the mountains, seeking solitude and reflection. He often spent days in the cave of Hira, just outside Makkah, meditating on life, creation, and the one true God. And then, at the age of 40, during one of these nights of reflection, his life and the world changed forever. In the cave of Hira, Muhammad was suddenly confronted by the angel Gabriel, who commanded him, "Read." Terrified and trembling, Muhammad replied, "I cannot read." The angel embraced him and repeated, "Read," and then revealed the first verses of what would become the Quran. "Read in the name of your Lord who created man from a clot of blood. Read, and your Lord is the most generous, who taught by the pen, taught man what he knew not." Shaken, Muhammad rushed home to Khadijah, who comforted him and reassured him that he was chosen for a great mission. She took him to her cousin, Waraka ibn Nawfal, a learned Christian scholar, who confirmed, "This is the same angel who came to Moses. You are the prophet of this nation." For the first 3 years, Muhammad called only his close family and friends to Islam in secret. The message was simple yet revolutionary. Worship only one God, Allah. Care for the poor and the weak. To be honest, just, and compassionate. The first followers included his wife Khadijah, his cousin Ali, his close friend Abu Bakr, and his freed slave Zayd ibn Haritha. But soon, the command came, "Proclaim what you have been commanded." Muhammad climbed Mount Safa and called the people of Makkah together. He warned them of the coming day of judgment and called them to worship only Allah. This public call marked the beginning of fierce opposition. The Quraysh leaders were furious. Islam threatened their wealth, their idols, and their tribal power. They mocked Muhammad, calling him a poet, a magician, a madman. They spread lies saying he sought power or wealth. But Muhammad refused their offers of riches and leadership. As the message grew, persecution began. Slaves who accepted Islam, like Bilal ibn Rabah, were tortured under the scorching sun. Families were divided. Muslims faced beatings, humiliation, and exile. One group of Muslims fled across the Red Sea to the Christian kingdom of Abyssinia, where the just king, the Negus, granted them protection. Meanwhile, in Makkah, the Quraysh imposed a harsh boycott on the Muslims, cutting them off from food, trade, and marriage. For 3 years, the Muslims suffered in hunger and isolation. In the midst of this struggle, Muhammad faced heartbreaking personal losses. His beloved wife Khadija passed away, and soon after, his uncle Abu Talib, who had protected him, also died. This year became known as the Year of Sorrow. With his safety in danger, Muhammad traveled to the nearby city of Taif, hoping for support. Instead, he was mocked and driven out, pelted with stones until his feet bled. Yet, even in this moment of pain, he prayed not for revenge, but for mercy and guidance. Just when all seemed lost, a new hope emerged. Delegates from the city of Yathrib, later known as Medina, heard Muhammad's message. They were weary of tribal feuds and longed for peace. Impressed by his teachings, they invited him and his followers to come to Medina, to be their leader and guide. This invitation would set the stage for a new chapter in Islamic history. From a small city surrounded by hostile tribes, with only a handful of followers, Islam was born. It began with a single man in a cave, a message of truth and justice, and a community willing to endure suffering for faith. Within a generation, Islam would spread beyond Arabia, reaching lands and peoples far and wide. But it all started here in Makkah, where against all odds, the light of Islam first shone. The story of Islam's birth is not just history. It is a reminder of how truth can rise from the humblest of beginnings, and how faith, patience, and perseverance can change the world.